Hello guys and welcome to the new season of the Pokémon TCG. That's right, the 2024-2025 season has begun. Yes, there has been many changes this season. For example, only the top 125 Masters from Europe and North America will qualify for Worlds next year, but we'll get more into that later. For now, the season is started and I want to go over the top 10 decks for this month. There are no regionals or anything till September, obviously because we're getting ready for the Worlds 2024, but at the moment cups and challenges are your jam, so I'm going to go over the best 10 decks starting with number 10. In at number 10 we have Miraidon Hands. That's right, this deck can absolutely annihilate your opponents. However, it does have some awkward matchups against Charizard and Raging Bolt, but otherwise it is pretty good against Dragapult, Lost Zone, and obviously it is pretty much an auto win against Lugia EX. If we have a look at the deck, you can see there that we are relying on our Iron Hands to get 2-3 prizes going very quickly. We play 4 electric generators. Obviously the Miraidon can use its tandem unit to get Pokemon out very quickly. We've got Iron Bundle to do some switching, Zapdos there to get an extra 10 points of damage on the board. Raichu is very useful at stacking up loads of damage as well. For consistency, we've got Squawkabilly, Radiant Greninja, and obviously our Ace Spec card of choice will be Prime Catcher to get those Pokemon off the bench and then slapping down some damage. We also play some Bravery Charm as well, Rescue Board, and obviously 15 energy and 2 double turbo energy will make sure we hit as many electric generators as possible. In at number 9 we have Chien-Pao. That's right, Chien-Pao is still popular. It has proved very popular online and had some good top 8 finishes. However, this deck is a bit of a sequence puzzle and you need to make sure that you get your sequencing correct with no matter what you draw. It is still good into decks like Iron Hands, for example. It is good into Charizard and it is good into Dragapult. However, it is awkward against Lost Box and some single prize matchups. Remember, you have to sequence this deck properly. Prime Catcher is our Ace Specs and we're playing lots of one-offs, so Haisu and Heavy Ball will be very useful. For draw, we're using obviously Bidoof from the barrel. That is essential, but basically you've just got to make sure you get your Baxcalibur down quickly, you get your Chien-Pao out, and then it's basically working out how much energy you need, getting the energy on board, and then slapping some damage down. We've got Iron Hands as well, just to make sure that we pick any of those single prizes we can turn into 2 prizes very early on in the game. In at number 8 we have Dragapult. So Dragapult can be a good matchup against many other decks. However, it can fall foul to some problems. For example, it's not great against Raging Bolt, but it does do very well against the single prize Pokemon. That's right, if you can slap down Dragapult, use its Phantom Dive ability, and then get 6 damage counters on the board each turn, you're going to be picking up prizes very quickly and ending these games. This deck is really good against a best of 3. It's really quick. Using Neo Upper Energy as well makes sure you can get those double energies on the Dragapult very quickly. For energy acceleration, we're also playing Mila as well. If your Pokemon gets knocked out, you can attach a fire energy from your discard pile. That's really good. Forest Seal Stone is essential as well for consistency. Overall, this deck is good. However, it is not proving as popular as it could be. I don't think there is a proper build yet. Potentially with new sets coming out, this deck could absolutely soar, and one day we may see this as the best deck in format. In at number 7 we have the mighty Charizard EX. Yes, this deck still can rock it, but obviously it is not as popular as it once was. Sadly, it does have some problems. If we look at it, for example, it's mostly 50-50 now against most decks, but it is particularly awful against Dragapult. Why is it bad against Dragapult? Because obviously Dragapult can start taking out all those Pidgeys and Charmanders very early on. However, if you are not up against Dragapult and you know how to play this deck properly, this deck can synergize very well. The A-Spec card I've gone for is the Unfair Stamp. I think this can absolutely ruin decks like Lost Zone Box and also Chien Pao if you play this card at the right time. Iono is also very useful, and if you chain it well with the correct sequence of cards, you could go very deep into cups and potentially get lots of top 4s at challenges. Remember, with the new format, you are only allowed your top 4 best finishers. When you've got your top or your first challenges 4 places and you've got your first place 4 cups, you don't need to attend anymore unless you want to practice. Let's move on to number 6. In at number 6 we have Regidrago. This deck has popped up a lot online and it is a really fun deck that you can take to a cup or a challenge. It's great that the fact you don't have to wait to use Dragapult as a stage 2. You can get the energy on there, you can use Ogerpon to help you. I've put 4 energy switch into this deck to make sure that obviously you can switch the energy around as much as you can. The A-Spec card is a prime catcher, which is really useful in this deck. We're also playing 3 bosses orders as well because we want to make sure we get those Pokemon off the bench. We're also using Squawkabilly and Mew for a bit consistency, but with the Ogerpons, obviously you attach and then you draw with its ability. The consistency is not a real issue with this deck. It does struggle against bigger Pokemon, so like Raging Bolt, it struggles against Charizard, but overall this is a fun deck and I can see this deck winning a few cups in the next couple of months. In at number 5 we have Raging Bolt. This deck is so OP. You can use Ogerpon there to charge up really quickly and keep drawing as well. Getting all that energy on, you can hit for massive numbers. We've got Radiant Greninja for consistency. We've got Squawkabilly there as well for the turn 1 consistency. Professor Sada's Vitality can put 2 energy on your Pokemon as well. We're playing Earthen Vessel to the max to get that energy out as well. Energy Retrievals to get the energy back. And our A-Spec is Prime Catcher as well. This deck is great. However, it does sadly struggle against some of the lesser cards, like the single prize decks like Lost Zone Box, but it does do well against things like Charizard and Lugia as well, because you're able to chain and get those big numbers out. So if you're playing against multi-prize Pokemon, this deck will do really well. Okay, no puns intended, don't sleep on this deck. The matchup positivity of this deck is huge. That's right, Snorlax Block or Blocklax is amazing. I built this deck at the end of the last format and I couldn't believe how much fun I had playing it. When I've gone up against it, however, it is soul destroying, but this deck has so much potential. The only real problem it has against is Lugia, and that's because of those energy cards that lets you move a card from the bench to the active. But if you are playing against things like Charizard, Dragapult, Regidrago, Raging Bolt, this deck will more than likely succeed. It is incredible. Do not sleep on this deck. Literally, don't sleep on it. Build it while it's still in the format. Use it. It will get you many points from cups and challenges. Chain it with Penny and with Hero's Cape and you are laughing. Okay guys, top 3, here we go. The top 3, this is Lost Zone Box. This deck is still incredible. Don't forget it won NAIC. You've got the Comfies there, you've got Ursulana EX there as a late game card, you've got Iron Thorns EX to shut down some abilities, Iron Hands to take extra prizes, Cramorant to put some pressure early on. This deck has it all. Prime Catcher makes it brilliant now that you can switch into a Comfy or you can switch the active into something that you want. This deck still has it all. Do not sleep on it. It does struggle against some other types of deck, like it's not great into Lugia It's not great, sometimes always into Charizard. However, this deck can still punch well above its weight and will still be seen a lot at Cups and Challenges. In at number 2 is Lugia VSTAR. This deck still punches it. I have to say it didn't do very well at NAIC, however in recent online tournaments it has excelled, particularly now since we've removed the Cincinnos. We've got the Legacy energy there to make sure we can get Luminion back into the deck. Iron Hands can use it as well. We've got things like Regidrago to get loads of energy. Dragapult V there is good up against the Gardevoir matchup. This deck has so much potential and will do really well in tournaments. The Jet Energy makes it really good into block lacks as well. So this deck still has loads of good matchups, and I can see Lugia VSTAR being used a lot until it rotates early next year. Of course, in at number 1 is Gardevoir EX. This deck has it all. It needs a bit of brain power and sequencing to make it work, but when it works, oh boy, it can cook. Monkey Dory has just absolutely transformed this deck. Unfair Stamp also does really well, being able to get your opponent down to 1 card. It is just insane. If you want to do well at Cups and Challenges and you are a confident player, take this deck. You cannot go wrong. So there we go, guys. This is the number 1 deck. Here is the deck list that I would take to a couple challenge. Let me know what you think in the comments. Well, guys, thank you very much for watching my tier list for July 2024. I really hope you have enjoyed this list. Let me know in the comments what you think, whether you agree, whether you disagree. That's right, this is the time to get the Cups and Challenges done now, as most of the points are going to come from the top players at regionals. Don't forget, they've changed the format. Only the top 125 masters from the main regions, Europe and North America, can now qualify for Worlds. It has completely changed the landscape. Pokemon have done one on us. It is not a case now of reaching that threshold of 250, 300, 500 points. It is now all about getting the top 125. So, look at my meta videos. I'm going to be releasing one every month. Let me know when you think. If you play these decks, let me know how you get on at a couple challenge. And thank you very much, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It is wonderful having you as part of the Dan the Man Sings community, and I really look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care and all the best.